Hey, 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 it's your girl, your favorite paralegal, aka Cassandra Lynn, and welcome to Legal Doc Talk 24/7. I have been on all day bringing you guys updates and some content, but in my findings, I found out that Sean Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy, Brother Love, Bad Boy, whatever he is to you, has now been sued again. He has been sued again, this time by Adria English, and it was actually filed today. So while I was doing my research on Mr. Combs, I usually check the dockets daily to see if any updates have been made on any of his cases, and seen that he was sued again. So, one thing, if you have not joined the members, I would suggest joining the members, as I am going to be continuing this new lawsuit because it is 114 pages, and I am limiting myself to an hour on here. So I'm going to try to get through as much of the petition or the complaint as I can, and then the remaining will be in members. So if you haven't signed up yet, just make sure you check out the members. With that being said, like I said, it's 114 pages long, and so I don't want to spend all my time going through this. I definitely need to break it up in parts, but we are going to kind of see why she sued him, why some of the allegations that were made. I did breeze through the petition to ensure that there wasn't any thing that could violate YouTube standards. And I'm so glad that I did, because there were some things that that were showed and embedded into this complaint. So I can only imagine the type of evidence and videos and photos that they have. But this is not looking good for Diddy at all. This is a couple of days after he kind of scrubbed his Instagram. I'm any attorney would advise to not even mess with your Instagram. Well, maybe he didn't have attorneys at the time, who knows, but that just wasn't a good look. But the Sean John lawsuit, you have, this would be, I went over his case yesterday actually, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 active civil. Now, when I say 6 cases, this is only dealing with the allegations of essaying and trafficking and all this other stuff. Now, he does have other civil lawsuits out there, but I'm focusing on these specific ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this would be his, wait, I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this will actually be his 8th case where they are alleging that he was trafficking, amongst other things. So like I said, this is going to be an hour show. The remainder of the complaint is going to be read in members. So if you haven't signed up or became a member, definitely become a member, because I want to have some content exclusive for my members. So without further ado, here is I'm gonna swap. So this is the complaint that was filed in the United States District Court of Southern District of New York. You are going to be surprised at the individuals who were listed in this complaint. My, me just skimming through it, I was floored. I was already floored. I was like, oh no, not him. But you guys are going to see. I did put a trigger warning on here because there are going to be some things that are said that is going to be disturbing. So I do want to put that trigger warning out there. So if this is not your cup of tea, and I actually got my tea right here to sip on while I'm reading this, definitely, I would suggest forewarn you to kind of leave the room while this is being discussed. I did pin the link uh to the chat, so if you do want to come up here and we can discuss, that is fine. I totally don't mind, but I'm just going to read this, and like I said, this is going to be about an hour show. The remainder of the documents or the complaint is actually going to be read in members. So once again, if you haven't joined, consider joining. All right, so we have Miss Adria English. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. Adria English, and I'll read it to you guys. But if you don't have any, if you have questions, definitely ask them in the chat. Definitely ask them in the chat. And let me just make sure. Okay. So we have Adria. I believe that's how you say her name, English. And she is saying Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Brotherly Love, Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings, Sean John Clothing, Combs Global Enterprises, Tamiko Thomas, Jacob Arabov, aka Jacob the Jeweler, Vibe Magazine, aka Vibe, Penske Media Corporation, also known as or doing business as PNC. And then we have John and Jane Does 1 through 10 and organizational Does 1 through 10. Just simply meaning that there are more people out there, men and women in organizations that they are aware of but don't know the names. And so they just make sure they got to include them in a lawsuit. All right. Now, it says trigger warning. This document contains highly graphic information of a sexual nature, including SAing. Like I said, I breezed through this and I have not hidden any of the words, but the graphics, I have done that. So just grab your tea, your drink, or your coffee. All right. So da, 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 da. I'm not going to read all that because I just told you guys who is who. All right. So preliminary statement. On November 16th, 2023, Cassandra Ventura, aka Cassie, filed a 35-page lawsuit in which she exposed defendant Combs of subjecting her to nearly a decade of physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, punctuated by rape, trafficking, and being forced to engage in drug-fueled, non-consensual sexual encounters with other men. Ordinarily, ordinarily, when a lawsuit such as Ms. Ventura's is filed that involves events that took place long ago, witnesses are few and far in between, and evidence is hard to muster. That's what they're trying to say. Not so for the claims brought against defendant Combs. Within minutes of filing, Ms. Ventura's claims were confirmed by various witnesses, including a rival musician whose car defendant Combs blew up, various individuals who observed defendant Combs beat Miss Ventura, and a video released by CNN just a few weeks ago showing defendant Combs physically abusing, battering, and insulting Ventura. One thing I hate is the justification on this. This is crazy. Oh, yeah, definitely. I surely will. Let's see. Since Miss Ventura's brave decision to file a lawsuit against Defendant Combs has immaculated numerous lawsuits across the country for the same conduct alleged by Miss Ventura. Days late, more lawsuits were filed against Defendant Combs, one being plaintiff Joy Dickerson Neal, and we talked about her, alleged that Defendant Combs drugged and SA'd her when she was a college student. The other lawsuit currently being appropriately refiled in New Jersey accused Miss Combs. Oh my gosh, they have to do better. They should have made sure that they reread this. Mr. Combs and singer Aaron Hall of forcing the plaintiff and another unidentified woman with non-consensual sex. One thing I gotta say about the complaint is that the justification is off, and they are missing some. You could tell that they were trying to rush this. Why? I have no earthly idea. But we did talk about how Tyrone Blackburn actually ended up filing uh, what lawsuit? Garza, Liza Gardner. That's the one that he initially filed in the Supreme Court of New York, and then they discontinued that case and filed it in New Jersey. All right. Well, thank you for coming in and making that comment. All right, so number 5, at the same time, a fourth lawsuit filed. This one against defendant Combs Companies and defendant Harvey Pierre, the longtime president of Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings. The lawsuit alleged that Pierre used his position of power at Bad Boys to groom and SA his former assistant, and that Bad Boy looked the other way at the time. The fifth lawsuit filed against defendant Combs include allegations brought by a Doe, and that's the Jane Doe case, are just as erroneous, yeah, than those brought by his prior victims, including that plaintiff Doe was trafficked and gained by defendant Combs and various other individuals. A sixth lawsuit was filed against defendant Combs and various other defendants by plaintiff Rodney Jones, including allegations of SAing, um, sex work, sex and drug trafficking, and ongoing criminal uh, enterprise and corrupt organization, similar to the claims plaintiff files in this instant action. A seventh lawsuit was filed against defendant Combs and defendant's son Christian, I said Tristan, Lord, Christian Combs by plaintiff Grace O'Margay. Plaintiff in the suit alleged she was SA'd and physically harmed by the actions of defendant's son, and that defendant Combs aided and abetted in his son's torturous acts. An eighth lawsuit was filed against defendant Combs by model Crystal McKinney, alleging that she was drugged and SA'd by defendant Combs. This is entirely too many lawsuits against one man. The allegations in plaintiff's McKinney's complaint echo similar claims filed by the plaintiff in instant action. A ninth lawsuit was filed against Combs by plaintiff April Lampros. In that suit, plaintiff Lampros alleged defendant of battery, assault, negligent infliction of emotional distress, violation of the victims of gender motivated violence, protection of the law, again, eerily similar to the claims made by plaintiff herein. Prior to any of these cases being filed, defendant Combs was named as a defendant in a civil SA lawsuit in Florida involving R&B singer Tremaine Neverson, aka Trey Songz. Man. And then they got this man's picture plastered. Oh man. Defendant Combs was also implicated in a lawsuit filed in California against R&B singer Chris Brown for a SA that took place on a yacht anchored at defendant Combs' Star Island estate in Miami, Florida. Oh man. Chris Brown was also referenced in the lawsuit between Rodney Jones and defendant Combs, and I remember reading that lawsuit and I could have sworn they was talking about somebody else, but this is wild. Implicating Mr. Brown was in Combs' Los Angeles home, consorting with underage girls and ladies of the nights. Y'all better have proof. Y'all better have proof. And a lot of people are saying now on the federal side of things, okay, he can be arrested. On the state side, he cannot be arrested because the statute of limitations has ran out. The statute of limitations, I believe, is 2 years. So it's not something where, oh, this happened to you 20 years ago, let me go and arrest him. That is why Homeland Security and the feds are actively doing their investigation. It's not going to happen within a couple of months. These people, the feds, have to make sure that they go through the evidence thoroughly. And I said this, I believe yesterday when I was talking about Diddy. In addition to that, all of these civil cases, when you get to that discovery phase and all the evidence that is being produced, all the witness statements, affidavits, all of that can be used to help that federal case, to help them build a stronger and better case so that way they can indict this man. Hey, gold digger. Hey. So yeah, so it's not as simple as, yeah, he's going to get arrested tomorrow. It's not going to happen. We have to wait for the feds to do what they need to do. And all of these lawsuits that are coming out, all of the evidence that they obtain can be used in that federal investigation. Now, somehow I just miscalculated because they are really counting these darn suits. This is now the 10th lawsuit, and I said 9. This is now the 10th lawsuit filed against defendant Combs since November 16, 2023, just as allegations brought by the other 9 plaintiffs. Plaintiffs' English claims are just as egregious. Yeah. Due to the numerous lawsuits filed against alleging the same or similar acts. Oh my gosh, Gold Digger. I was like, nope, nope, no, y'all not gonna put Breezy in this mess. Yeah, all they're saying is that I have to go back and read Rodney Jones' complaint, because what they're saying is that Chris Brown was referenced in there. Now, in that complaint, they didn't name him. They just put an R&B singer. And that could be anybody. And we thought it was somebody else, but I'm not gonna say their names. Allegedly. But yeah, so that's what they're saying. But y'all got me messed up. Now they're just saying that Chris Brown was named in Rodney Jones' lawsuit. Y'all better leave my friend out of there. Let's see. Due to the numerous lawsuits filed against defendant Combs alleging the same or similar acts, there is now growing awareness that Combs was engaging in far more sinister acts than previously known, including physical abuse and trafficking. Specifically from 2004 to 2009, plaintiff was trafficked by defendant Combs, Thomas, and now that Avra, I don't know why there are some words, probably because I put my watermark, but so defendant Combs, Thomas, and this is the A Rob. No, I'm on page 5. I'm gonna go back to that is Jacob the jeweler. So Tamiko Thomas and Jacob the jeweler. That ain't a good look on Jacob the jeweler. Additionally, because of defendant Combs' relationship with defendant Vibe, and we're talking about the magazine, due to their conspiracy in the trafficking enterprise, defendants knew they could publish plaintiff's likeness without her consent and fear of recourse, and choose plaintiff's likeness to use without permission in an effort to continue the defendant's trafficking enterprise for their financial benefit. Therefore, plaintiff brings claims pursuant to New York civil rights law, Section 50 and 51, and 15 in USC Section 1125A. Now, there has been a theory that it's not just about Diddy. It's larger than what anybody thinks. Like, I think they are trying to take down a whole trafficking enterprise. I know, like, have y'all ever seen, like, on the news when they do like a drug bust or a trafficking ring or something of that nature, and you got about 20 people on, plastered on your TV? I think that this is bigger than this. It's just Diddy got caught. Honestly, Diddy got caught. And it's crazy because I was researching and reading Jeffrey Epstein's stuff, and it's crazy that this dude Diddy is now with another lawsuit. But when you look at Epstein, man, it's wild. Epstein could have stopped doing what he was doing in 2006 if the government or the state took the initiative to actually put that man behind bars. They gave that man how many months? A couple of months in jail. And when he got out, said register as an offender. And that was it. That's wild. But all of them, they are all cliquish. And now I'm side eyeing all these celebrities that are named in these suits. I am side eyeing all of them. All right, 18. Plaintiff can support her allegations within this complaint and has lived her adult life with the memories of being trapped in a cycle of trafficking she never asked to be a part of and was chosen because Combs knew he could groom her. For years, plaintiff have been affected by defendant's actions and has suffered extreme emotional distress, impacting nearly every aspect of plaintiff's life and personal relationships. Given all the brave individuals who have come forward against Combs, plaintiff is doing the same. So, plaintiff brings this action seeking injunctive, declaratory, and monetary reliefs against defendant in violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Law and the Gender Motivated Violence Act NYC. And so I explained yesterday that New York had the Adult Survivors Act, and that's why you saw two of the cases that came out against Diddy, actually three of them. But one had to be moved to the New Jersey court, but they had to file before that November 24th or 23rd deadline. So unfortunately, this young lady who filed, she missed that deadline, but instead of the Adult Survivors Act, she is filing under the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence and Protection Law and the Act. So that makes sense. Let's see. All right, this is jurisdiction and venue. Boy, Jacob the jeweler, Jacob the jeweler. Hey, Amy. Oh, Diddy got sued again. All right. So this court can hear this matter because what she is wanting is over $75,000. Is not saying that, she's going to get $75,000 or she's asking. It's based off of that court. So this court hears cases that is valued over $75,000. That's it. Ooh, wee. All right, I'm gonna start at this one. So, plaintiff brings suit against defendants pursuant to the NYC Gender Motivated Violence Act to redress the substantial and lifetime injuries she has suffered as a result of being drugged, trafficked, and assaulted by defendants Combs, Thomas, and Jacob. Yes, Jacob the jeweler. Mm-hmm. All right, so now this is the procedure requirements. Um, I was going to skip over this, but I'm not because I want you guys to understand why she is filing up under these particular protection acts. So, the NYC Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act created a look back window on March 1st, 2023, which runs for 2 years and is for survivors of gender motivated violence, allowing them to sue their abusers regardless of the abuse occurred when the abuse occurred. The NYC Gender Motivated Violence Act revives any claims against a party who commits, directs, enables, participates in, or conspires in the commission of the crime of violence motivated by gender has a cause of action against such party in any court of competent jurisdiction. The appellate division was held that SA is an act of gender motivated violence under the law as coerced activity is dehumanizing and inducing. Malice or ill will based on gender is apparent from alleged commission of the act itself. Animus inheres where consent is absent. Mm. The above described conduct of defendant Combs, Thomas, and Jacob the jeweler, I'm going to keep saying that man's name, including but not limited to defendant Jacobs, and so defendant Jacob the jeweler's SA of plaintiff constitutes a crime of violence and a crime of violence motivated by gender against plaintiff as well as the defendant's Combs direction, enabling, participating, and conspiring in the commission of a crime of violence motivated by gender as defined by the NYC Gender Motivated Violence Act. Given the extensive media coverage and numerous lawsuits filed in the District Court of New York, both federal and state, against defendant Combs, defendants Bad Boys Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, Jacob the Jeweler, Vibe Magazine, PMC, and Doe organizations were put on notice of the SA and trafficking allegations made against Combs. So here are our defendants. We already know who this is. Defendant Combs retains residence in both Florida and California, and upon information, a belief is a citizen of the state of California. At all relevant time, he was a resident of New York. He's a rapper. We pretty much know who he is. All right. I'm not going to go through all that because we know from the other lawsuits what he is. Oh, now it says in 2022, Forbes estimated that Diddy was one of the wealthiest hip hop artists in America and his net worth is over $1 billion. I wonder what it is now. Upon information and belief, defendant Diddy has a long history of committing physical and violence against women and men, both of age and underage, as documented and publicly available in over 9 lawsuits across the country, as well as extensive media coverage on the lawsuits and the allegations made therein. And it actually has links to this. So they also are suing defendant Bad Boy Entertainment. And let's see. We already know that it's a music media entertainment company that was founded by Diddy. Now the crazy thing is, anytime they anytime they sue Diddy, they also sue Bad Boys Entertainment. I have seen so many notices of appearance that have been filed from their lawyers again and again. I know that these folks is tied. They is tied. And to be connected with a person like this, it's damaging to their brand. Even though he found it, it's still damaging to this brand. So defendant Bad Boys Entertainment has been named in several lawsuits where defendant Combs has been accused of claims of well, I already read that. Oh no, I didn't. Accused of claims of sexual abuse and trafficking, as every business defendant Combs engages with a role in his illegal enterprise. Sean John Clothing was actually sued as well, included in this darn suit, and you know that he just got he settled with them 60 million dollars that man don't have. In 98, Combs founded Sean John, which has a retail sales of $450 million. As CEO and president of the company, defendant Combs was representing Sean John when he conspired and trafficked plaintiffs. So they are suing everybody that had a connection with him at the time of the incident? Combs Enterprise. All right. So this is related to music, entertainment, fashion, spirits, and television industries, while including a diverse portfolio of business and investments, including fragrance, marketing, media properties, and liquor. Defendant Tamiko Thomas. Baby, I thought Tamiko was a man. Mm, I'm sipping on my tea. I thought Tamiko Thomas was a man, y'all. Oh my gosh. Citizen of New York, an employee of Bad Boys Entertainment. That's why. That's exactly why they sued. That makes sense. In her employment capacity, she was responsible for transporting, making payments to individuals like the plaintiff in furtherance of a corrupt organization of trafficking on behalf of defendant Combs and the beneficiaries of the corrupt organization, including defendants Jacob the Jeweler, Vibe Magazine, and PMC. Oh, here go Jacob the Jeweler. Mm, so let's see. All right, so I'm gonna read this one because we're just talking about, he was a resident and citizen and all that other stuff. So defendant Jake Jeweler was a beneficiary of the corrupt organizations ran by defendant Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Thomas, Vibe Magazine, PNC, and is pictured with the plaintiff above when he knowingly had intercourse with plaintiff who was trafficked for that purpose. So this is her and him, Jacob the Jeweler. Defendant Jacob in 2008 was sentenced to 2.5 years in federal prison regarding a multi-state drug ring, was fined $50,000 and had to forfeit, was that $2 million to the U.S. government. Prior to being in prison, defendant Jacob the Jeweler frequent parties thrown by defendant Combs and Bad Boy Entertainment, where he knowingly participated in the illegal commodification of women via trafficking. Upon information and belief, defendant Jacob still runs a business, Jacob and Company, licensed to do business in New York, and that's the headquarters. Lord, Vibe Magazine. So okay, that's just naming da 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 da. And it's just saying that Vibe had an ongoing beneficial relationship with defendant Combs that dates back as far as 1993. Defendant Vibe further injured plaintiff in an effort to further the corrupt organization when it published plaintiff's picture in the issue pictured above without plaintiff's notice or consent, written or otherwise. This is Penske Media. Let's see what they're saying about them. Defendant and Seven Media. Okay, not really. Now they're including them. Okay, I see why they're including. They're including them because they are owner and parent company of Vibe Magazine. So that is why. And then, as far as the John and Jane Does in the organization, they are, like I said before, they know that there's others, but they don't know their names, so they haven't been identified. So you want to make sure that you include them in a lawsuit so you don't have to go back and amend the complaint. But those are other parties not yet identified who have violated plaintiff by trafficking her, conspired, and or aided and abetted the defendant in trafficking the plaintiff through their participation in a corrupt organization that contributed to the plaintiff being trafficked or having engaged in one or more of the wrongful practices alleged in herein. The true names, when corporate, individuals, or otherwise of defendants 1 through 10 inclusive, are presently unknown to plaintiff, which therefore sues said defendants by fictitious names and will seek to amend this complaint to show their names and capacities when they have been ascertained pursuant to CPLR. So once they are aware of the people who or organizations that took place, then they'll go back and amend the complaint. And that's normally when you see in these big old cases. So they might amend it about two, three, four, even five times once they start getting word of the actual names. Um, all right. So here is Miss Adria English. And I know if you guys have gone on and kind of typed this in and did some search that they have more prerogative pictures that you will see online. However, since her attorney is drafting this complaint, you don't want to put, you want to make them seem humble and more conservative based on, other than what you see on the internet. Let's see. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of skim through this. All right, so prior to moving to New York, so all of this happened in New York, which is the reason why she filed in New York. Uh, so prior to moving to New York, in or around 2004, plaintiff participated as an actor in the adult film industry under the name Unique. Unique, yeah, I think that's how you say that. Plaintiff participated in approximately 8 adult films prior to moving to New York, which were done while plaintiff was a teenager. I hope she was 18 and that's it. Plaintiff was coerced by veteran porn star Jake Steed into doing these films with the promise they would never be viewed or circulated within the United States. This is sad. And yeah, okay, I had to make sure because maybe I had to redact. Plaintiff moved to New York from California to evade the disappointment of family when they discovered she was acting in adult movies, as plaintiff was led to believe the movies would only be seen and purchased abroad, therefore difficult to be viewed by those who personally know her. She moved to New York, destitute and homeless, with her then boyfriend starving up and coming model Anthony Gallo. I don't even know who that is. Oh, that's him right there. So while plaintiff's then boyfriend auditioned for modeling gigs and attended go-sees in New York, plaintiff began go-go dancing and performing at Larry Flint's Hustler Club on 51st Street. Her stage name was Sasha. On or about mid 2004, Mr. Gallo attended an audition for a Sean John modeling campaign in New York where plaintiff accompanied him. During the audition, another model and Mr. Gallo were asked to perform fellatio on defendant Combs in order to book the modeling campaign. What? I just had to okay. I don't know what that is, and I'm not going to look it up right now because I'm scared. Another model and Mr. Gallo were asked to perform on defendant Combs in order to book the modeling campaign. Mr. Gallo refused, but was later reapproached by employee defendant Thomas, and Thomas is a woman, offering new terms. The terms being that Mr. Gallo could still book the Sean John campaign if he commanded the plaintiff to work defendant Combs and Bad Boy Entertainment's upcoming White Party in the Hamptons as a go-go dancer. And plaintiff was a well-known, talented, and highly sought-after dancer at Larry Flint's Hustler Club. In an effort to assist Mr. Gallo's desire to become a model, plaintiff agreed to what she believed to be legitimate employment with defendant Combs and Bad Boys Entertainment as entertainment at the white parties in the Hampton, New York, and Miami, Florida from 2004 to 2009. Plaintiff did not agree to a lifetime of aftermath of being used as a pawn for the pleasure and financial benefit of others. This is about disturbing as all outdoors. Let me see if I can. There we go. Now we're going into the factual allegations. So this is pretty much the plaintiff telling us or telling the court what happened. Plaintiff's employment at defendant Combs' Labor Day white party. So as we know that, Diddy pretty much asked her to do certain things and she declined and they declined. Um and then they say, "Hey, let me go ahead and give you a job." And now this was her boyfriend. Gallo was her boyfriend, Miss English's boyfriend. As agreed to between Mr. Gallo, defendant Thomas, and defendant Combs, SJC and BBE, assuming Sean John Company and Bad Boys Entertainment, plaintiff began her employment at the ultra exclusive and lavish Labor Day parties thrown by defendant Combs and BBE. BBE called the White Party, and Mr. Gallo began his employment as a Sean John model. Okay, so she was working the parties and he was a Sean John model. It's crazy because I was like, I've seen him. Oh man, he was born in 81. Plaintiff's first employment at a white party was in the summer of 2004. That's when I graduated from college. Yeah, baby, y'all know I had to redact this. Plaintiff believed that this to be a legitimate employment opportunity. Plaintiff was picked up by defendant Thomas in a car driven by one of the defendants. Oh my gosh, defendants. I don't even know what that is. Either by defendant Combs, BBE, SGC, CGE, or organizational dough, and transported to defendants Combs' estate in the Hamptons, which served as the venue for the Labor Day party. So pretty much, Thomas, the lady, was the one that was scheduling the pickups and everything. And then who uh was driving, that's who they don't know their name. So that's why they have them as, either a John Doe, a Jane Doe, or an organization because they don't know. But they're going to find out, I'm sure. When plaintiff arrived at defendant Combs' Hampton Estates with defendant Thomas and other trafficked individuals, defendant Thomas brought them into a room where they changed into clothes that was provided for them. This is twisted. And yeah, if you because I redacted the cover because there was a lot showing. It's like a white halter top, looked like a plastic white halter top with a white skirt that had all her goods hanging out. And that's what they wore at the white party. Plaintiff's outfit in the above picture was provided to her as her uniform, as she was led to believe that she was in her employment capacity, and plaintiff was required to wear the clothing provided as part of her employment. Plaintiff was also provided a separate room from the party away from where the partygoers congregated, and was used by plaintiff and other employees as a break room to take respite during the party, as plaintiff was there in employment capacity. So at the throughout this whole ordeal, she thought she was working. She thought she was working. Plaintiff was encouraged directly by defendant Thomas to provide lap dances and be flirtatious sexually with the guests at the white party. Plaintiff also was instructed and directed by defendant Combs as to which guests plaintiff should focus attention and interaction with to ensure his guests were having a great time. Plaintiff was restricted or strictly instructed by defendant Combs and Thomas on which. Now, we heard this before. I'm going to reread that. Plaintiff was strictly instructed by defendant Combs and Thomas on which bottles of alcohol and champagne female employees were to exclusively drink from, and also required plaintiff to take narcotics offered by a white party guest. Despite being forced to drink coke, alcohol, and consume illicit narcotics, the encounters plaintiff was forced to endure was so excruciating that plaintiff remembers them as they still haunt her to this day. Plaintiff was forced to consume liquor and illicit narcotics as part of her employment at the White Party. Upon information and belief, defendant Combs laced the liquor with ecstasy, which is why the plaintiff was provided strict rules on the bottles to consume from. We heard this all before, y'all. Plaintiff performed the expectations of defendant Combs, was personally thanked by her obedience by defendant Combs, and was invited for future employment at the White Parties. Plaintiff was paid in cash at the end of the night, typically between 4 to 6 a.m., once the party had concluded. Plaintiff was paid by defendant Thomas, who was given the money from defendant Combs. The first White Party in 2004 had no sinister intent or requirements for physical contact and seemed to be a legitimate employment opportunity. So, when plaintiff was offered employment in the preceding years at the Labor Day White Party, she accepted the employment opportunity. Plaintiff was employed as entertainment as at subsequent white parties in the Hamptons. Plaintiff was always transported to the Hamptons by the way of car service provided by either defendant Combs, Bad Boys Entertainment, Sean John, CGE, or other organizational those, with a driver who was also an employee of defendant Combs in those organizations, and with defendant Thomas also being present as a liaison and coordinator between the employees and defendant Combs. Plaintiff would use numbers provided to contact either or both defendant Combs and Thomas to arrange transportations to the White Parties. This included using the telephone and text messaging services to confirm the date, time, or pickup. I don't know, but that was some years ago. I don't know if they could go back and retrieve those messages, but we shall see. Defendant Thomas would then arrive at the location provided by plaintiff at the agreed time and in chauffeur-driven vehicle provided or under control of defendant Combs, which would include defendant Thomas, a member of defendant Combs' security team, and other employees who were hired as entertainment for the party. Oh man, plaintiff always provided wardrobe by the defendants, Thomas and Combs, and also was provided a break room while attending the White Parties. Defendant Thomas and Combs groomed plaintiff into trafficking over time. Around the third White Party, defendant Thomas and Combs demanded plaintiff begin engaging in intercourse with guests, and they had learned about her past in adult entertainment and used it forcefully to coerce plaintiff into doing Lady of the Night works for the benefit of defendant Thomas and Combs and their beneficiaries. That is so sad. During this White Party, plaintiff was provided a black dress to wear by defendant Thomas and Combs, when previously plaintiff was provided white clothing like other guests and the theme of the party. So this is the third white parties that she's attending, and now she has to wear a black dress. Upon information and belief, plaintiff believes she was required to wear a black dress to the White Party to denote her capacity there as an employee, but more sinister as a trafficked worker. One beneficiary is defendant Jacob the jeweler, who plaintiff was demanded by defendant Combs to engage in intercourse during a White Party. Plaintiff, fearing not only her safety, but her and her then boyfriend's job security, did as instructed and went with Jacob, where she engaged in forced intercourse with defendant Jacob the jeweler at the demand and behest of defendant Combs. Plaintiff knew refusing defendant Combs' demand was not an option, and to do so would be at her and Mr. Gallo's determined. That is detriment. So she did it so she wouldn't lose her job. I don't, yeah, yeah. So that's her and her man right there. Man. Plaintiff was coerced by defendant Combs into consuming copious amounts of allegedly laced alcohol prior to being coerced and forced into having intercourse with defendant Jacob the jeweler. I'm going to keep saying his name because I am appalled. Plaintiff is pictured with defendant Jacob. Oh, that's Jacob. I thought that was her boyfriend. Oh no, her boyfriend is a little nicer than that. All right. So this is the picture with Jacob the jeweler after the assault, as plaintiff was still in her role of employment at the white party. So you saying that this is the picture that after the assault, and she's smiling, and she's not in no black dress, but okay. Oh, this right here. Okay, because but this is even worse. So it happened, and then you go take a picture like this. I'm side eyeing this part too. Plaintiff received an additional $1,000 in cash on top of what she had received as payment at the prior two white parties from defendant Thomas at the end of the night. At the end of the night, defendant Combs personally congratulated plaintiff for following his directives and defendant Jacob and for a job well done. What in the world? Plaintiff has personally witnessed defendant Combs, Thomas, and Jacob solicit and ingest narcotics and engage in illicit acts. Plaintiff was also employed at the white parties that commenced at defendant Combs' Miami Star Island residence. During these white party employments, plaintiff's travel was arranged by defendant Thomas. Upon arrival at Fort Lauderdale Airport, a car service owned and operated by either defendant Combs or any of those organizations was retrieved would retrieve plaintiff, defendant Thomas, and the other individuals from the airport and transport them to the residence at Star Island. That's where the trafficking is coming into play. It's not that okay, you're in New York and you're you know picking up these girls or traffic. Is that you are taking them from one state to another. That becomes federal. And that's why the feds are doing what they are doing now. You have crossed multiple jurisdictions with this. Oh my gosh, this part here. Defendant Thomas was to defendant Combs as Ghislaine Maxwell was to Jeffrey Epstein. And it's crazy because in the other petition for Rodney Jones, that's what they say about what's that lady name? I know her initials is KK. Her initials is KK. So I'm assuming back in the days, defendant Thomas, Tomika, or whatever her name is the old worker or staff or whoever you want to call her. And then I don't know where she went, but KK is like the more modern one, up to date. So you got two Maxwells that are equivalent. And Jeffrey Epstein, this is when you are being compared to Jeffrey and Maxwell, that's a wrap. And you African American, they about to throw you under the bus, buddy. Without defendant Thomas, a woman using her inherent goodwill as a woman to gain the trust of another woman, coordinating and acting as an avatar for defendant Combs would be unable to execute his corrupt trafficking organization. This is the same language that they put in Rodney's petition. But I get it, because if I was drafting this petition, I would take excerpts in language from other petitions to beef up mine. So I get it. Plaintiff is unable to recall details from the Miami white parties due to the increased demand that plaintiff engage in illicit narcotics and alcohol use while employed for defendant Combs. So not only was she out of her mind because she was drunk, is because she was full of narcotics. And he does that on purpose to make them forget. I don't know. I'm not a user, so I don't know. And I'm not a heavy drinker. So I don't know what happens. But for you to not remember certain details, that means you were under the influence heavy. Defendants Thomas and Combs passed off plaintiff to other defendants outside of defendant Jacob the jeweler, named as defendant Doe's, to be assaulted as part of their ongoing corrupt trafficking organization. This is so sad. Cat Williams was not playing. This is the year that everybody and their mama is about to be exposed. And Diddy is not the only one out there. I've done seen so many. Oh, I'm going to get into it. Cuba Gooding Jr., Russell Brand, um, man, I'm gonna tap into Bill Cosby, Jamie Foxx, Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. It's so many people, and not just celebrity status. There's probably somebody in our backyard who is doing the same thing, but they're not in the limelight, and it's crazy. I kid you guys not. When I go out, I'm not. Most people be on their phones and stuff. I be looking at people, men, women, boys, girls. I look at their action. I'm like, because I went to the grocery store the other day and I see a man in the front seat with a little girl, but he's just sitting in his car in the grocery store. And I'm like, why are you sitting in a car with a little girl? Now, it could have been his daughter, okay? But I was side eyeing that. And then I get out. So I was in the grocery store probably about 10 minutes. Then I come out, and then now he's putting the little girl in the car seat. So did you ever go into the store? I'm so confused. And that actually messed with me. But what I'm trying to say is, it's sad that Diddy and all them, because they are in the limelight, we're addressing this, but there are people that are non-celebrities that are doing the same thing. So y'all keep y'all eyes, ears out, just keep a lookout for these things. It's sad. You think about going all the way back to Cassie. Cassie came out and said all of these things was happening to her. Nobody believed her until a video came out. Why y'all didn't believe her the first time? And yes, it's happening to more women, but it could be also happening to men as well. And as you can see, Rodney Jones came out, but once again, people need visual evidence, not even just a picture. A picture can mean anything, but people need to see a video before they actually believe, the allegations that's taking place with anybody. So yeah, I done kind of deviated from this. So let's go back. Oh man. All right. So upon information and belief, plaintiff believes defendant Combs had hidden cameras in every room of his house in the Hamptons, New York, and Star Island, Miami, Florida. We know this because when they raided, there was a whole bunch of cameras. Upon information and belief, defendant those who were individuals defendant Thomas and Combs passed off plaintiff to be assaulted were filmed by defendant Combs security cameras. Security cameras assaulting plaintiff while plaintiff is unconscious during the white parties in both New York and Florida. Um, I hope that the raid uncovered a lot of this information, a lot of these videos. Uh, There was one comment that was made that Diddy liked to go back and watch these videos. So, no telling what was found in that raid. And I hope that it dates all the way back to when this was happening. I know it's 20 years ago, but he looked like the type that got a whole secret room with, computers and laptops and tapes and DVDs and whatever else in there. Upon information and belief, these individuals and a plaintiff were recorded without their knowledge and consent. Upon information and belief, this treasure trove of evidence in defendant Combs' possession may still be in defendant's possession or in the possession of the FBI, as the FBI executed a warrant and raided defendant Combs' residences in April of 2024. Yep, I just said that. Whoo-wee. Where we at? We at 59. So I'll do about a good 10 more minutes and then I'm going into members. So defendant Combs makes promises of career advance by way of music artists to plaintiff. This is the same thing that we seen in Rodney Jones' case. This man sits there and he makes promises after promises after promises to get these people to do things for him. And this is a pattern that I'm seeing in these complaints. Defendant Combs is very forceful, demanding, and does not take no for an answer, and would often threaten to inflict bodily harm and or terminate plaintiff or her then boyfriend Mr. Gallo's employment and blackball them from the industry if plaintiff did not comply with his demands. As defendant Combs acted and was viewed in such a way to where Mr. Gallo and plaintiff believed he had the power, where defendant Combs' threats were credible. So they were scared of this man in a sense that they said, okay, we can't jeopardize anything. We just got to take it. Defendant Combs used his power and his influence to threaten and intimidate plaintiff to continue participating in defendant Combs' corrupt sex and drug trafficking organization. Defendant Combs, in the effort to continue to silence plaintiff and keep her in his trafficking organization, offered to help plaintiff enter into the music business as a part of an all-female music group. I've never seen this music group in my life, but I'm pretty sure people are probably going to go look and see what music group she was in. And it says my girl group when I work for Diddy. And these young ladies probably don't want to be exposed in any way. So I get it. But it's coming out now. Defendant knew of defendant Combs' prowess in the music industry, and he knew the power to help her advance in her music career. Plaintiff believed defendant Combs would fulfill his promises to help her career just as he had helped plaintiff's then boyfriend's modeling career. Plaintiff, having been professionally exposed to the music industry side of defendant Combs' empire, grew more aware of the true nature of her employment at the white parties was, yeah, that part, excusable, explorative, and criminal. Plaintiff's only way to escape defendant Combs was to return to California, which plaintiff did in 2009. Uh, thank you. Thank you for becoming a member, Gold Digger. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Upon information and belief in retaliation for plaintiff's escape, defendant Combs had plaintiff then boyfriend Mr. Gallo blackballed from the modeling industry and had all of Mr. Gallo's campaigns with Sean John removed. That is so sad. Hold up. Did I just miss anything? Oh, so plaintiff, so she tried to escape him and she returned to California in 2009. When she did that, he pretty much blackballed her boyfriend from any modeling gig in the industry and stripped him of all Sean John content. Upon information and belief in retaliation for plaintiff's escape, defendant Combs had plaintiff blackballed from the entertainment industry. That when you have that much power, that is sad. All right, let's see how okay. So I'm gonna go through this one and then I'm gonna come to an end on live. So defendants Combs' corrupt sex and drug trafficking organization has caused plaintiff lifelong harm. Plaintiff became severely depressed and began to blame herself for being trafficked and for sabotaging her own career. And I can see that happening. That's emotional distress right there. Now, because that's usually what victims do. We start blaming ourselves. And thank you, Gold Digger. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, we tend to start blaming ourselves because we're like, man, this happened to me. This happened to me. Why did I put myself in this position? What did I do? How did I get here? And then that can lead to a whole number of things. So it's very, very sad that this played out like this. Being trafficked and abused has led plaintiff into a tailspin of anxiety and depression. In or about 2010, plaintiff was hospitalized for mental illness as a direct cause of her being trafficked by defendants. Everywhere plaintiff looked, she was reminded of being trafficked, trafficked, trafficked by defendant Combs as he in this, I don't know why some of these words are blocked out. Um Presence in the music and television and film. So pretty much because his presence was everywhere, she had to constantly be reminded of that. In the ensuing years, plaintiff has also experienced alcohol and drug addiction as she attempted to cope with the emotional trauma of being assaulted and trafficked. Man, plaintiff has also experienced intimacy issues and she struggles to maintain emotional and relationships with men. Plaintiff was recently married, however, fears her marriage may fall apart due to her mental breakdowns, uh, precipitated by memories of the assault and trafficking. Defendant Combs has altered the trajectory of plaintiff's career, denying her a successful and lucrative career in the music industry. To this day, plaintiff experienced bouts of depression, anxiety, body image issues, feeling of worthlessness, and intimacy issues because of being trafficked, trafficked, trafficked by defendant Combs. Plaintiff is a woman of faith, and when she saw news coverage of the countless lawsuits initiated by brave other individuals against defendant Combs, she knew she had a moral obligation to speak up. It takes is just one individual to start a domino effect. I'm so glad that Cassie stood up and did this. A lot of people was like, "Oh, well, she's after money, blase, blase, blase." If you have never been in a abusive relationship, you have to understand Sean's his mental. Well, if you understand that, I don't know what to say about you. But what he was using his words. He would promise you things. He would say, I will take away things if you don't do this. That is a tactic that they could not escape. So I am so happy that Cassie actually did this because now these women feel confident in coming out and telling their story. Now, I'm not a victim of this heinous crimes, but I am a victim of something, and I don't want to discuss because my kids here. But I was, and this happened when I was what 14. I didn't tell anybody until I was 23, and when I was 23 and married with a kid, and I told people, specifically my family, nobody believed me. So I get why these women are scared to come out, especially if you have absolutely nothing, you have been stripped of everything, and you're going against a billionaire. Like, how much lower can I go? Like, I only have this much. If I go after this man, he could take away everything. And that's what their fear was. So we can't sit here and say, well, they should have reported it, as soon as it happened. We don't know what their thought process was at the end of the day. We really don't. So we can't say that these women should have did something. Now, granted, yes, the statute of limitations for him to get arrested has passed, but that's why they are taking initiative too. Me personally, if had anything like this happen to me, oh yeah, I'm coming for all your money and your 3 houses and your yacht. I'm gonna. That's what I would do. So I commend these women for actually stepping up and taking initiative. And I hope more women, not just against him, men and women of anybody, step up and do what they need to do. It is okay. It is really okay. We can't get them on the criminal side. Hey, the Fed's going to take them. They're going to take on that initiative right there. They doing what they need to do. On the state side, I'm about to bleed you dry. I'm about to bleed you dry. All right, so 149 says plaintiff feared further violence and retaliation from defendant Combs. If look, this here, this is what I was just talking about. Plaintiff feared further violence and or retaliation from defendant Combs in filing this lawsuit, but ultimately decided that it was imperative she speak her truth with the hopes that no other individual will have to endure the egregious and heinous treatment she has. Plaintiff seeks seeks justice for herself and for any other Combs victims. And I'll definitely, so I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there. The rest gonna be in members, but I need a break. um, yeah, so let me go ahead and stop sharing this. And let's see. Miss Amy stated that I'm gonna put your comment on the screen. Recently, I got out of one, had to go to a homeless shelter. I was left with nothing at 52, but I, so God got me, and I'm now restarting my life again. You know what? I commend you for that. I have not ever gone through, domestic violence of any kind, but I am sympathetic for those who have. I also teach GED classes, and for some reason, I'm supposed to be going over lessons, but somehow, some way, we either talk about two things: what has gone on in people's lives, or we talk about God. But I have had so many stories from women, particularly about the violence that they had endured. And people would ask, and this is what they're telling me, people would ask them, well, why didn't you, leave, or why did you go back, or so on and so forth. And it is just not that easy. But Amy, prayers to you. Prayers to you. God does have you. He does. He does. He really does. And I'm so proud of you. And I wish that more women, well, there are organizations out there. But I think what happens is a lot of women are not confident, is not the word that I'm want to use, but it's just they're scared. They're scared. They don't know what to do. Some get, and what do they do with the pain? Some turn to alcohol, some turn to narcotics, and that's not the way to go. But I'm pretty sure that there is some organizations out there that can actually assist if you just make that first initiative to go in there. And there's help. There is help. Like all these lawsuits that are coming in, against all of these big name people and probably little time people, it should give you a boost to say, okay, I'm 2024, we need to be taking that initiative and putting people on blast. Okay, we need to be putting people on blast. But hey guys, thank you guys for tuning in. I definitely have to take a break, but I will continue this in members, kind of going in, and I might have to break it up in parts because I'm not going to read this whole complaint today, but I am going to, and I probably will record in bits and pieces and just post it in members so you guys can have that. But there's so much more to this complaint. And it just baffles me that uh, Diddy just really thinks that nobody was going to come out and tell their story. He thought he had it all figured out, with his secret little hideouts in his houses with the tapes and all this other stuff. Now, buddy, you're going down, and everybody that you're associated with is going down. I can't I cannot stress that enough. And if it's bigger than Diddy, I hope and pray that they get everybody involved. I look at these cases and I'm trying to find content to kind of put out for you guys. And I don't care if two people watch it. My thing is these people need to be, put out there. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. I think if the government would have done what they were supposed to do, those 14, 15, 16-year-olds wouldn't be in the predicament that they are in. I just did a case on Kanye this morning. And this dude, now it's not trafficking of that, but it's child labor. You are, and you're not paying people. Like, what is going on in this entertainment industry? Like, Hollywood is weird for real. But like I said, it's probably not just Hollywood. It's definitely um just weirdos out there. But hey guys, thank you guys for tuning in. For me, it was a great show. I just, like I said, I skimmed through the through the petition to make sure that there wasn't no images, so I had to redact it. But I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked at the allegations. And I just hope that they are able to get through these cases. One thing that I do notice, every case with Diddy, they are really trying their best to dismiss it, and that's normally what a defense attorney will do. They will try to find any type of loopholes to say, oh, okay, here's one. Let's file a motion to dismiss. Either they made a claim and they didn't, have supportive facts with that claim. Oh, let's go ahead and dismiss this. It's wild. It is wild. Go to say, yes, this is a lot. Guard your heart and your peace, Cassandra, after reading all this of this darkness and ugliness. Yes, I am. I am. I definitely am. I'm going to go read a part out my Bible and go watch Netflix because this is some dark, ugly stuff. And I actually been reading all day, starting with Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm just disturbed and I don't like my peace being disturbed. But thank you guys definitely for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't become a member, just definitely consider becoming a member. I am working on some content, not all crazy dark stuff like this, but things that I do want to present with y'all before I reach out to the public. All right. So it is 8:32 my time. I am gonna take the rest of the night for myself, and I will post some videos in the members. But once again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Y'all be blessed. Have a blessed night and happy. Wait, is it hump day? Yeah, happy Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of y'all night. I'm out, y'all. Bye.